Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're reviewing the show's only clip show in the entire existence of its broadcast history. Anniversary show, Laverne and Shirley birthday show. The wraparounds are directed by John Thomas Lennox, and the frame story was written by Paula A. Roth and Roger Garrett. And I do believe Chris has some information on them.
Yes. So we've had John Thomas Lennox before. He was the one I mentioned was the second assistant director on The Outfit, one of my favorite polyester pulp movies. But he also worked on How Do You Say Are You Dead in German? And Excuse Me, May I Cut In? This is the third of 4 episodes that he directed. And he also would later go on to mostly stayed as a unit production manager, a UPM, and did some assistant director work on Phyllis. And looks like the last thing he did was in the 90s on a TV movie. But he was also the production manager on Splash, which, given he was the UPM on many episodes of Happy Days, well, that makes sense. As to the writers, Paula A. Roth, I had not been taken the chance. She co-wrote The Bridal Shower, and wanted to make known that this actually is some of her earliest credits on IMDb. So it seems as if it was a place for her to kind of cut her teeth and get started. And this is the second of many more episodes to go. I think it looks like she has 11 more episodes after this one. But she also would go on to do 1 episode of Joni Loves Chachi and only 1 episode. Can't imagine why. And did 6 episodes of Happy Days, 6 episodes of Love Boat. But was known for having written about 17 episodes of Perfect Strangers, being a story editor and story consultant on Laverne and Shirley, as well as later Happy Days, and was the producer for pretty much the entire run of Perfect Strangers. So, it's some good cred. As to finally, at the last is Roger Garrett. Having gotten started with an episode of Blansky's Beauties, he would do work on this episode as well as multiple more through the later years of Laverne and Shirley, before going on to work on shows such as It's a Living, 21 episodes, My Two Dads, Empty Nest, and kind of doing like an episode here or there through the 90s, until finally last written credit is in 2003 with a show called Street Time, which I am completely not familiar with. Oh, we also did a couple of episodes of Law & Order SVU from 99, 2000, so make of that what you will. But as well was the executive producer of Empty Nest. So as you can see, we're yet again working with sitcom regulars and television regulars, so it makes a lot of sense that they would end up doing a clip show towards the beginning of their careers.
I really like It's a Living. It's a Living it tends to air after Laverne and Shirley on the Logo, so I tend to see it a lot. I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid, so I thought it was interesting. It's cool. Okay, this is what the episode is about. In Laverne and Shirley's only clip show, Frank's plan to give the girls a big party after their victory on the Shots bowling team results in chaos. The girls end up in Canada after getting on the wrong train for Chicago, leaving them far from home. While Frank, Edna, Carmen, Lenny, Squiggy, and Rosie reminisce about the girls' wildest adventures and sweetest moments, the girls try to navigate a way home. What do you think about this one?
It was a clip show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's funny about it is that, I even have a note here where it gets to the point that, like, it's down to, like, one-shot coverage of, like, these little, like, 30-second takes, basically, where it's like, it happens especially around the bit where they talk about the society party, and it's like, sometimes it's the play the clip and come back, and it's like, hey, you remember that one time when blah blah blah? I think it's, I watched the Clerks animated show long time ago, and after that second, because the gag in the Clerks animated cartoon was that the second episode is a clip show. And they keep flashing back to the episode prior, and then to all this other stuff that never happened. And so I just, it's hard for me to take clip shows too seriously, but that all being said, I really have grown to love this show, and it's really cute to see some of these moments, especially to see season 1 and season 2 stuff put back to back. You really get to see the jump in quality.
Yeah, you do. I like the frame of this a lot. I like the frame for a lot of reasons, because you get to see character dynamics you don't really get to see a lot during the show. Like, you get to see Rosie interact with the boys. You get to see Rosie interact with Carmine.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see Edna interact with the boys. You don't get to see that whole time. And there's poor Frank running around in the background going, "It's now 9 o'clock." Pop.
And pops the balloon. So apparently he's there's that line, right? It's they make a good time lady.
Yeah.
Actual human clop, Frank DeFazio.
Actual human clock, Frank DeFazio, just deal with all this crap. And, like, I like the way they kind of use the characters' dynamics to set all this up. And the girls are just trying to get home. Exhausted, trying to get home.
Mm-hmm.
they're exhausted, saying they're playing cards, getting drunk.
Yep.
It's waiting for them to get home. Well, Frank is annoying in the background.
I was gonna say I love seeing them progressively get a little more intoxicated with each little piece too, because you could tell, you could really tell.
Yeah. I love that Rosie makes the boys sit in the trunk.
Yes.
She let them sit in her car, and she was like, and eventually they break her radial antenna.
Right.
If you're so rich, how come you don't have a radial?
It should be a longer antenna,
longer aerial.
Right. Yeah, longer aerial. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I love the idea of the visual of her, like, literally. It's like, oh, she literally picked them up, And
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, them in the trunk is even more dignified than I thought. I mean, it's better than dragging them around with a rope on the bumper,
I'm surprised the show didn't try to do that.
Oh, God.
We actually get to see them again tailgating the girls. I'm like, yeah, I'm surprised that Rosie didn't make them do that.
Oh, jeez.
She would. There's a lot of good quotes in this, this, like, Missouri loves company, that's why it's such a crowded state.
I was literally looking at it in my notes. Excellent, yeah.
There's a lot of, like, good squiggy lines in this, and there's a lot of good, like, Lundy does get a couple good ones, too, like, when he criticizes Rosie for fighting all the time, and he refuses to call her a lady.
Yep.
Some lady, you've been in more fights than Joe Palooka, and he ain't no lady.
Right. Yeah, but only with Laverne. That's her stipulation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually wanted to point out before I forget, I did like the subtle makeup change for Rosie. This is a point when I felt, because I absolutely agree that, Rosie gets a lot more to develop here because her makeup looks more subtle. Even the performance, it feels more natural. I wonder if that was... I agree. I wonder though, agreeing that like is that a case of them starting to kind of figure out what to do with her as a character?
Yeah. In a way, she's gonna be more humanized, but in a way, she's just always gonna butt heads with Laverne. The two of them butt heads. Laverne will never have a better rival. She'll never have anyone better to fight with than with Rosie. The show knows how to capitalize on that. But. Probably the only really awkward voiceover was when they have Carmine introduce that clip from Angels of Mercy.
I have that on my note. Yeah, it's good read. Yeah, really good read, Eddie.
It's a dead voiced read.
Yeah.
Well, but they really earn their stripes. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he says it in the deadest voice humanly possible, and it's like, no.
It's like the Timothy Van Patten voiceovers in Master Ninja, or The Master, as the show was called. Yeah.
Maybe he didn't want to do retakes. Those Van Pattens are headstrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna begrudge Timothy Van Patten. He turned into an amazing television director. I loved his episodes of Boardwalk Empire. So I'm not gonna. I won't begrudge him too much. But I will say that his acting days in the '80s were a bit rough. And Eddie Mecca, I think, he's the '70s version of Timothy Van Patten, who's just a little more legible and more physically talented. Okay.
He's cool. He's good. He does very well with what the show gives him.
True.
And nobody can dance like that. You gotta admit he can dance like a fiend out there.
Absolutely.
He does some great stuff coming up. We're sorry, Carmine fans. We won't be. We'll find some good points eventually down the line.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I tease, but truly, he's talented. And actually, to be honest, I felt Eddie was great in this episode. Carmine's actually a lot more likable this time around, for me.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I do love his comment. Shirley, she's always very calm. It's like Carmine, you know better than this. No, don't say that. But
and they directly call him out for saying that too.
yeah.
I loved. You can tell by the way what got axed out of the DVD edits, thanks to this clip show, because there's a whole bunch of extra dialogue with Fonzie from Society Party that is not in the season 1 DVD, and that is annoying. That's annoying, CBS. That's annoying. That's annoying. Stop doing that. Give us full edits.
Yeah, one day we'll get the restored master collection through the television equivalent of the Criterion collection.
Like, all I want is a complete thing, and it doesn't need to be edited out unless it's a music situation. If it's a music royalty situation, I understand why it's not there. Though sometimes it causes some real dissonance. And some things should just be paid for. Yeah. To be frank.
Yeah. Oh no. Some things should be paid for. I mean, it's why Spaced took years to get on DVD in the U.S. because the rights for the music in England not that big of a deal. I guess in America, I mean, it cost them a ton.
Yeah. I can imagine. Because they got a lot of popular music in that.
Speaking of the sound and overlays and stuff, I noticed it seemed like they used different slap foley when Shirley hits Laverne in the Bachelor Mothers clip. Was I wrong in that?
Yes. No, you're not. You're not wrong. They definitely did do different foley. It's like they also dubbed in an extra hello in that clip where Lenny comes to the door with his date from One Flew Over Milwaukee. That is definitely a dubbed in hello, and it's like. As Michael said, I never got to say hello. That is, a huge, obvious dub, and it's embarrassing in a lot of ways. I'm like, what the heck? I can't try and do shit.
Yeah. But at least on the bright side, as well as another change they made was there's heavier chip crunch foley when Richie Cunningham in the flashback, and they when he crunches the chip in his hand, that's way louder and again more distinctive sound.
Yeah. That whole scene's great anyway.
Oh yeah,
that whole episode is great. The whole scene is great. That was a good. The clip selection here is really nice. If you had never seen the show before, this is a pretty good introduction as to what it's about and what it can do dramatically. Because they do include the proposal scene from Before You Leave in it, which is really nice. It's really nice always to see that little clip scene. They have the slapstick. They have all the various dynamics between everybody on display. So it's a good little, here's what you missed if you haven't watched the show before kind of thing. So,
speaking of the Look Before You Leave clip, I love the, you were awful helpful to Laverne when she thought she was pregnant, and Squiggy going, you were. And it's like, oh, you jealous but really shippy bastard.
Squiggy is the absolute most on-board shipper for the two of them. When we get to Lenny's crush, you'll see that. He loves the idea of the two of them together. The idea of Lenny touching Shirley pisses him off.
Interesting.
We'll get there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
We'll get there.
But when getting back to the clips, though, the clip selection, I think, was really strong. It helps, and especially because I understand the point of clip shows historically for shows when... If you missed that episode, that was kind of it. Like you have to and not all shows got syndicated, and it was it was a different time. I mean, we're really spoiled now. I mean, we have all these digital media, physical media. We have digital media. We have online stuff. We have people keeping bootlegs fresh on the internet. I think it's kind of cool that in some ways, like I can imagine some people getting into the show through season 2. And you mentioned that season 3 was where it became huge, right? This is when it became popular, and then 3 was when it became a humongous hit.
Yeah. Well, this is right where it's the second most popular sitcom and second most popular show, period, in America. It's the number one show in America from season 3 through season 4.
Gotcha. So I guess what I mean is that, like, it's a way to like incentivize people who haven't kind of gotten in on it yet, because often when they do like it's the birthday show, it's the anniversary show, come watch this special new event, it's it's a great way to get people on track. I mean, it was kind of like how like there was that old documentary, or not documentary, but it was like a promo doc in the 90s for Mystery Science Theater 3000, you know, the one that had the Neil Patrick Harris interview in it.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
And that was a great way of, like, you know, because I was kind of familiar with the show and like I watched a few episodes at that time, but you know, when watching that, it was, and I used to watch Doogie Howser, so I was like, oh my god, there's Doogie Howser. You know, that like really, that was part of the cementing, because it showed me clips from other episodes I hadn't seen yet, so it further made me want to watch it.
Laverne and Shirley ended up being in syndication somewhere around its 4th season, I think. Pretty sure somewhere around there. They were actually airing concurrently with the episodes that were airing on the network. I forget how they did a really interesting marketing campaign that I'm going to have to look up when we hit that point. But it's the way ABC sold that in Happy Days of syndication. It was so popular they were showing reruns in the afternoon of season 2 and season 3, and then they'd be airing season 5 in prime time.
Interesting. I remember they did something kind of similar like that with The Simpsons on Fox in the 90s, right? Where like they would play the syndication in the afternoons through the week and then new episodes on Sundays.
Yeah. That's common now. That's fairly common, because right now you can get it with Family Guy, get it with Bob's Burgers.
Oh my god.
You used to be able to get that with Big Bang Theory and all that jazz. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's become a thing. It's common.
Oh hey, yeah, I do have a note here. They had to loop one on Lenny coming in instead, the hello montage. Forgot about that. Yeah, I do love that. They're always happy to see us. That line is amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing I also liked in going back to some of these episodes in the clips is that, you know, there were things that I didn't notice before that I was able to come back to. In like the Bowling for Raspberries episode, first of all, I forgot that they actually had like insert close-ups for that episode for the big bowling scene. And I finally just noticed that one or two of the guys in the back are also seen later in Suds to Stardom. Yeah,
they actually did a good job of recycling those extras into being somewhat important, somewhat recognizable, so you go, aha, these guys actually do work at the brewery. So they did come back.
Yeah, it was cool. I like that. I like when shows are able to do that, because it adds that sense of like the world feels more alive. And so it's like, it's good to have something fresh, but it's also, I think, having something that's repetitious in a television show means that when you get to a new episode that's very fresh, the freshness feels much more, it gets more pronounced.
This is one of those shows that still works. This show still works. Like, you think of about 100 other shows that don't work. This show still works, despite of its flaws, which we bring up. Believe me, we'll bring them up. Probably my absolute favorite moment in the whole thing was Frank just going, I'm tired, I'm fed up. I'm glad you're home.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah, I have that in my notes as well too. Yeah.
I'm fed up.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And the and that's the thing is, you know, as much, what's kind of a bummer about this being dedicatedly a clip show is there's some really cute stuff and the ideas with Laverne and Shirley on their trip. I love the bit where they're at the train station. First of all, the Canadian, for some reason, the guy in the intercom at the Canadian train station sounds like an East Indian. And to me, on the PA system, I don't know why, but I love the bit with the trophy. It's like, what good is this going to be to us in Canada? And the woman drops the coin in there. Thank you, ma'am.
And then you get to hear about all the things they've been through. You get to hear about how they were on a chicken truck.
Yeah, exactly.
About how they went through
got them
a
breakfast.
billion buses just to get home. Yep. They got caged some eggs, so they got breakfast on them.
Yep. Yeah. You think those guards were going to take us to the Toronto Mardi Gras? Well, they have our phone number.
Eternal hopes, man.
Yeah, there's a cute, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's a cuteness that's not self-aggrandizing with the way that the characters are done here. That it's you know, it does reach those moments of, you know, hey, you remember that time when, which is, you know, is like the ultimate clip show phrase. It's like, okay, there it goes. But they're able to hold off to only, I think, 2 uses of it, and it's they're very clever with their transitions from piece to piece. But the as you're pointing out, the characters are wonderfully themselves here. You know, Frank is great to have some little refinement. I guess what I love is again to see Frank really worried about them. He's scared. You know, he's concerned. Something's wrong and it's bugging him. And it's like you see how much he loves these kids. You know, he loves his daughter and he loves Shirley. And I love Edna. Edna's great in this one. I love that dress too, for that matter. That dress is gorgeous.
She looks fabulous.
And you know, the boys getting to interact with Carmine and Rosie is really cool to see here, you know, because what I like is Rosie with Carmine, and especially as well, shows that it really is with Rosie that it's not that she's always necessarily mean. She's stuffy and snobbish and etc.
Yeah.
But it's more that she just has an issue with Laverne, that I think, which I think I have my feelings about that, which I think we've discussed a little bit, but I don't know if we've discussed on the show yet.
When we hit Honeymoon Hotel, we'll probably talk about it in depth.
Yeah, but it's like I like seeing when she's comfortable. That's what I really liked. Yeah.
She's very much an average Joe kind of girl. Who's just kind of like, and she's rough and tumble, and she's not that bad of a person. She's got her snobbery, and she goes over the top, and so do the girls sometimes. The reason why she and Laverne don't get along very well is frankly because she and Laverne are a little alike. They're a lot alike in a lot of ways. That's probably why they oil and water a lot.
Yeah, and that was my thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of like good tiny business in this episode. As you brought up, there's a little tiny moments that really, really, really work in it. Like Lenny just reaching over and plucking the hat off of Laverne's head and just tucking it in his hand, and he puts a little party hat on her head, which is really cute. And Squiggy meanwhile just puts it over Shirley's hat.
Right, which is in both cases it's really cute and really kind of sweet in an adorable way. I was waiting for you to mention that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it in my notes. I have that in my notes.
What does your note say? I don't know what your notes say.
It's we need to break down the specific cuteness that takes place at the end, apparently. Oh, I see, because Lenny's super gentle about it. Okay, I see.
Sometimes you're only a little bit obvious when you ship things. Sometimes you're a little off. My other favorite thing was when he talks about the girls making out with all these guys, and he goes and he kisses the balloon. He just kisses the balloon out of nowhere. It's like,
oh my god, I didn't catch that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he goes and he pecks the balloon. And he just kisses the balloon. It's like it's the most random thing.
I must have been making a note at the time. So in both cases of me watching this, darn. Okay.
I can actually get you. I'll get to see it. I'm gonna show you that clip when we're between episodes.
Okay.
I love that completely random moment where he just does that out of the blue.
Nice.
Yeah. But this is darn good for a clip show. It could be a lot worse. I've seen worse clip shows, believe me, I have.
Oh, yeah.
It's my ultimate thought about this one. Mm-hmm. Also, I love that cake that they get them.
Yes, God, I've been wanting to talk about that cake, the bowling cake.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I mean, part of me also hopes that like the bowling pins are actually made of like marzipan or something, so you can actually eat them.
Yeah, that looks like a plastic deco, so probably not.
Probably not.
There is a way to do it out of fondant. There is a way to do that on marzipan. I bake a lot.
Yes, you do.
I do pastry arts, so that's how I know these things. You could also probably mold it out of Rice Krispie treats and then put fondant over the top, but those don't look like edible decorations. That cake looks good, very good.
Yeah, the cake itself though looks really good. Yeah.
And I love that it ends in a chorus of High Hopes.
That was great. I love that.
That's the anthem, and I love that they paid for that song. Thank you CBS for paying for the song. And it's just a really cute way to end it. The way everybody just decides to come back. They have a meeting in Rosie's car.
Right.
They all meet up in Rosie's car and talk it out and realize, no, we can't leave them there. We should have the party after all. Because everybody's awake anyway, and that's their friends. That's their family.
Yep. Yep. It's as we keep saying, it's the found family situation, and this is a good example of it. Yeah.
So.
Although I'm still a little freaked out by when Pop suddenly shows up with the cake to bring the cake back in, and it's like, where did he come from? You don't see him coming in through the door.
You don't. Well, it's implied that he lives over the pizza bowl.
Right.
His apartment is up there.
Yeah.
So that's where he could have been. He could have come around the other side. Was the only
Gotcha.
Guessing I got there, but that's also editing continuity.
He could also just be, practicing some magic and just apparated, poof.
Yeah.
He's a Nicky elf. So anyway, so what are you going to give a rank for this episode?
This is around 5 just for the character dynamics alone. It's not essential.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's not anything new or like creme de la creme of the season. But it's got its cute moments. It's got really cute character moments. It's worthwhile in that respect. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. Yeah, it's the cute character moments. I think a solid 5. Clip choices are great. They cut into them really well. I pointed out in my notes that the edit, going into Drive, she said, it's fantastic. That's a great, the timing of that is perfect. And so some of the...
You haven't seen Laverne and Shirley Drive, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, there's some really cute moments. I enjoyed it. The character stuff is cute. And what I also like, this is kind of a context thing, but we're going to get into some episodes, I know, in another episode or two, where it feels like the increase in the bond that you kind of see here pays off. Yes. So it's not essential, but it definitely... You can see where some of the... you can kind of, I guess, see that there's a build up to where some things are going.
Yeah.
And so it's not like... It doesn't exist in a vacuum, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Exactly. Perfect.
Cool.
That's
Rockin'. Excellent. So I guess that's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us once more for Night After Night. If you would like to know more, please join us on the social medias. We are at Night After Night Pod on things like Facebook and Tumblr, WordPress, and we're also Night Aft Night PC on Twitter because Twitter doesn't like big long names apparently. And so we're we do little watch-alongs on the Twitter. We have a Patreon as well. Look us up on the Patreon if you would like to support us and help us to get to making some special episodes for y'all, because we'll need a little bit of support on some of those aspects. And yeah, I guess and as if you would like to leave us a comment, ask us any questions about the show or anything you would like us to cover, what have you, you can just leave a comment below or reach us at nightafternightpod@gmail.com. And yeah, so we're next episode. I don't know. We've been working so hard. I don't know. Maybe we should maybe take a day off sometime soon, right?
So the girls try to take a day off of work, lie about what's wrong with them, try to have fun, and fun does not happen, or does it? This would be playing hooky.
All right. Well, I'll enjoy that. I would not mind playing hooky. But yeah, that's another conversation for another day. Anyway, thanks a bunch, everybody. I hope we see you next time. We get you. You have yourselves a good time, and remember to take a break, and also just remember to have your high hopes. Maybe you can move that rubber tree plant, even if you're an ant.
Try to get it on your back and keep going, kids. Bye.